and pressure washing. 404-966-3361. Mention WBLZ Sports and get a special We've Got Balls discount. That's Doug Pepper Painting and Pressure Washing. 404-966-3361.
Hey, good shot.
It's about time.
Hey, it is about time. I mean, I just couldn't get the ball in the hole. I wanted to, but I just couldn't do it.
WBLZ Sports. We've got balls.
Whether it be your industrial, commercial, or residential needs, Gen Service is the electrical contractor for you. The Gen Service team has the expertise, commitment, and educational years to help you solve your electrical concerns. They have you in their best interest with helpful suggestions to accommodate your every want. Give them a call no matter the size of the job at 740-438-7173. And mention WBLZ Sports, you will get a discount. That's Gen Service, 740-438-7173.
You have no marbles.
Marbles?
Marbles. You have no marbles.
Because we've got balls. WBLZ Sports.
Joe Cardoza here, founder and CEO of nutsandboltsports.com. What's Nuts and Bolts Sports, you ask? It's a sports blog written by fans and covers every sport known to mankind. Check out nutsandboltsports.com. Follow us on Twitter at nutsandboltssp, like us on Facebook, and check out our podcasts, The Football Show, Buckets and Dimes, and the NBS Sports Hour. Nuts and Bolts Sports, definitely not the same old, same old. We eat, sleep, and drink sports. All the sports.
This is WBLZ Sports.
And that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so.
Whether it be your industrial, commercial, or residential needs, Gen Service is the electrical contractor for you. The Gen Service team has the expertise, commitment, and educational years to help you solve your electrical concerns. They have you in their best interest with helpful suggestions to accommodate your every want. Give them a call no matter the size of the job at 740-438-7173. And mention WBLZ Sports, you will get a discount. That's Gen Service, 740-438-7173.
This is the County Fantasy Sports Podcast. I'm Hayden Gibson.
I'm Jared Chastain.
Do you find yourself wondering who to start in the flex or what to do about a bye week situation? Listen to the County Fantasy Sports Podcast every Wednesday at 5 and Friday at 6. Jared, what's the motto around here?
Let us be your scapegoat.
So be sure to tune in.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, my name is Nick Piccarelli. I am the mad scientist of sports. Join me and the rest of the Inscriber Radio Network live on WBLZSports.com, where we got balls.
Doug Pepper Painting and Pressure Washing. He has over 30 years of painting experience. He's interior, exterior, commercial, or residential. Doug Pepper covers it all. Is your house looking ugh? We'll call on Doug. Doug Pepper Painting and Pressure Washing. 404-966-3361. Mention WBLZ Sports and get a special We've Got Balls discount. That's Doug Pepper Painting and Pressure Washing. 404-966-3361.
Welcome back to Making the Cut with Mook. I am your host, Marcus Mook Washington, and like I said, we're going to continue on with some college football, and then we want to start out at the afternoon games as we're looking at the four contests that had ranked opponents go up against each other. And the next game we want to take a look at is Tennessee and Georgia, an old SEC rival, a game that you could say that both teams came in, still had questions with either one, especially with Tennessee, who has seemed to be Jekyll and Hyde from first half, second half. You know, you never know what you're going to get with them. They seem to be more of a second half team than a first half team. We saw that, you know, in games like the Virginia Tech game, and it followed that kind of script again on Saturday, where It was a back and forth game in the second half. Georgia takes his lead with 57 seconds left. And Tennessee comes back to win on a Hail Mary. And it really helped them out. Just like Washington got a big boost, moving up from 10-5 in a big win. Tennessee gets a boost. They move up to 11-9, which might not seem like a big deal until you consider the fact that every team now, they're positioning themselves for the college football playoffs. So you want to be in that striking range. A team like Tennessee needs to keep winning. I don't care how the wins go, because they need to stay in that striking range. And being in the SEC is going to help them. This is not some sort of team that's not in the Power 5, or it's not a team in the ACC or the Pac-12, or sometimes the people who are deciding these things decide that the conference wasn't tough enough. This is a team in the SEC, so Tennessee just needs to keep winning. They're not going to have some of the pressures the other team have when you have to win impressive. What does the eye test say? A term I tend not to use. It's what does the eye test say? The stuff Tennessee and a lot of the SEC schools, they kind of get a reprieve from that, because the thought process is, if you can just make it through the SEC, even sometimes in some years with one loss, that you're going to get consideration. So for Tennessee, who we've seen come back, like I said, against Virginia Tech, we saw it against Florida, we saw it again against Georgia, and obviously, Brandon, you are certainly our resident SEC person when it compares to me. I'm more of ACC, Pac-12, Notre Dame football. I did see a little bit of this game. What were your overall thoughts of how Tennessee keeps coming back, and how, if this was Mark Richt and not Kirby Smart, how Uga would be taking it even more on the chin than what they're taking it?
Well, I think with Tennessee, I think they've learned that they're more now of the second half team. Whereas if you look at last year, I remember clearly they had leads against Florida and let that game slip away. They had a lead against, I believe, Arkansas, let that game slip away. So they lost a lot of those games last year that they had leads, and then they let them slip. They're winning them now. They're winning them this year. They win, clearly this year they took it to Florida, and then with the last second hurdles against Georgia. I think they're learning how to win, and also it's a funny thing with football. It's more football in itself that certain years the ball just bounces your way. There are going to be some years where the ball doesn't bounce your way. Tennessee in 2015, the ball clearly did not bounce their way. In 2016, the ball is bouncing their way. Before those come from behind wins, and also the last second heroics. So it's good for them. I always figure, if Tennessee was going to do it this year, it had to be this year. Otherwise, when are they going to do it? So they were able to pull off the win. And then as for Georgia, I think no matter who's the coach, they would have taken on the chin anyway. It could have been Kirby Smart, Mark Richt, or Vince Dooley, or Jim Donnan, or Ray Goff. It wouldn't have mattered. You don't have that penalty that they had towards the end with the, I believe it was the excessive celebration, and whatever Georgia was doing, not sending players back, that did them in. So, the coach to me part is irrelevant. No matter who is coaching it for Georgia, it's just irrelevant. They had a lot of things to slip away that cost them that game. My thing, you mentioned earlier about the indictment of the SEC. I don't think the reputation, and you're right, I'm in the region, and I live and breathe with all of that. But I think it's not as strong, or what you may get on social media or anything like that. It's not as strong as it once was, or things go in cycles. Other than Alabama, which is top of the pop, second to none, the rest of the conference, I think, is just a mix of okay to good to terrible to Vanderbilt. And I didn't say anything about Vanderbilt. I'm the one to talk because Florida barely beat Vanderbilt last week. So it's really Alabama, a few good teams, and then a lot of bad teams, and then you got your bottom. So I don't think it is strong. SEC's not getting 2 teams. Let's just kill that. I think let's just kill that as it is. It's not getting 2 teams. Alabama will probably win it. The SEC is not. Maybe A&M can make a case. Maybe Arkansas can get them. They play next week. But just what I think. I think Tennessee ball bouncing their way this year. Happens with championship teams, and doesn't matter who the coach was at Georgia. A lot of things that did them in for that. But an entertaining finish nonetheless.
Oh, well, you brought up the SEC not thinking that they would get 2 teams, and that leads us perfectly into the next thing we want to talk about, which is Louisville and Clemson. And the thought process before the season is that the ACC could possibly get 2 teams, and those 2 teams would be, maybe Florida State and Clemson. Obviously, we've seen Florida State now is 0-2 in the conference. You have to think at this point that there is no way on earth that that's going to happen. I still think North Carolina is going to win the Coastal. Obviously, Miami is going to have something to say about that. I think they are the closest competitor to winning the Coastal. With North Carolina, they're probably neck and neck. But Saturday night, we saw a classic, an instant classic game between Louisville and Clemson. A game that reminded me a lot of last year's Clemson-Notre Dame game, a game where Clemson jumps out to the lead, they're up at halftime, so on and so forth, and then they let their opponent get back in the game, and then they hold on. This game showed 2 guys who got some Heisman hype before the year, and certainly Jackson, the quarterback from Louisville, has continued to get the Heisman hype, and deservedly so. 295 yards passing, 162 yards rushing in a signature game on the road at night in Death Valley. But it just wasn't enough. We can talk about that play, that 4th down play, a little bit later. But Deshaun Watson throws for 306 yards, runs for 91. Along with those 306 yards passing, he threw for 5 touchdowns. And then they have Wayne Gallman, who for some reason I always feel like he doesn't get the ball enough. And I'm sure people think he gets it plenty, but if I had a Goldman in the backfield, I'd give it to him more. He chipped in with another 110 yards in that game, and very important 110 yards in that game. But a lot of people focused on the ending of it and how Louisville on 4th down, how they went short of the marker, and they felt like the wide receiver, whose name escapes me now, and I apologize, didn't seem to give an effort to get the 1st down. A lot of people, myself included, when I saw it live, I kept thinking to myself, why didn't he turn back in? Why did he turn out? Earlier today, I read that there could have been a possibility where the yard markers were not properly set. And I don't know if that had anything to do with why he acted in the way that he acted, but it just seemed kind of strange that he gave up and got out of bounds so quick with no effort to seemingly get to the yard marker. When you saw that play, what was your thought?
Well, I think I saw that, and I think the receiver's name was James Quick.
That's right. Yeah.
Use the last name as you will with the last play. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of an awkward. I mean, you could sit here and armchair quarterback it, but sort of in that position, maybe he could have got it, maybe he could have. It escapes me what their timeout situation was. I don't know if they probably ran out or didn't have any at all, but I mean, it's one of those where at that moment it was probably heat of the moment. It was just maybe if I can get out of bounds, maybe you'll take the time, or not knowing what the sticks were, or not knowing what down it is. And I've never played organized football, but you probably get into that situation. I akin that similar to when the national title game back in '93, the between Michigan and North Carolina, the famous Totsana